I came out my freshman year as gay. As bisexual originally. I kind of developed this alternate personality in a way where when I was at school, I was the token gay kid, but when I was at home, I was the kid that never spoke and had his nose in a book. His at the time. But I turned 21, and my friend and I, we wanted to have the experience of going out and drinking legally, and it was actually Brevard, which is 45 minutes from Asheville where I lived. And I went to a show, and I watched my first drag show, and I just remember thinking I wanted, not necessarily that, I didn't necessarily want to perform, I didn't want to do the makeup, but I wanted that confidence that everyone had, because at the time, I had never met anyone that was transgendered. I had never researched transgendered. I'd never researched drag. I met my drag mother, Katarina Eclipse. She did a number, and then she performed, and then she hosted the rest of the show. And I was sitting there on the sides, and I was watching, and the show finished, and I don't know, something struck a chord with me about Euphoria. Something was different. Something was comfortable. And I hadn't even met her. I'd never seen her, nothing. But I just remember I practically ran across that dance floor. And I said to her, at the time, my name is Ryan. That is my biological name. I was like, do you have any advice for someone who might want to perform? That was on Saturday. I came over on Tuesday. We made a costume, and then on Thursday, I performed in my first talent show. But over the years, as soon as I started drag, as soon as I performed for the first time, I knew that I was different. I knew that it was like a floodgate being opened. It was like everything that had always been suppressed and pushed back, and everything I'd been too afraid to fear or to feel just opened up, and it was a life-changing experience. But I was like, I think I'm wanting to transition. And I had heard stories by this point, this was about a year in, of people being so caught up in the fame and the attention they get when they're in drag that a lot of gay men in the drag culture consider transitioning because they think that they just get addicted to the attention. I started thinking about it when I was 22. And I started I'm 27 now, but I started transitioning when it was technically 26. It was the month before my birthday. And I started hormones and everything. So now I'm 9 months in, and I'm like, yeah. I finally feel like a lot better. But I have an immense amount of support now. My mom uses she pronouns, and my little sister my sister's younger than me. She's 11 years younger than me, so she's like, yes, I have a drag queen for a sister. Drag's definitely become an outlet. I kind of take pride in people telling me that I'm a very emotional performer. I'm able to emote what the song means a lot and not just perform it and go out there and do it. If I'm feeling a certain way, I'll do a song that kind of represents that. And so that's kind of like developed into who I am as a performer, as being, my passion is, I guess because it was all held back so long as a kid that it kind of like, boom. Yeah. But yeah, so it was, like I said, it was terrifying. So terrifying, but worth it. Yeah. And there's an adrenaline that happens that is unlike anything else. Like I said, a lot of it I use drag as an outlet. I use that, and that adrenaline when you step on stage, and that 5 minutes that's yours. No one can take that from you. You can spend 2 hours on your makeup, but when you're on that stage and you're doing that first number, and that first number is 5 minutes, it's all worth it. There's nothing I hate to say it, but you're center of attention. And, what you do with that is on yourself. And I use it more as a platform. I use drag as a platform to build my story, or not build my story, but to tell my story. Because you become a public figure. As I was doing a show, and it was a Friday night, and we were busy. It was during summer. I think it was last year. And this lady came up to me, and she's like, my son has expressed to me that he wants to wear makeup, and that he wants to dress like a girl, and that he wants to possibly transition, and I don't know what to do. And I took her outside, and we sat, there's like a gravel driveway kind of section, and they have chairs, and we sat in those chairs for almost an hour. And she's like, I don't understand it. And, and it can come across as harsh, but I told her, I was like, honestly, I know that you don't understand, but you don't have to understand to be supportive. You don't have to. This is a questioning time. They're questioning who they are. They're questioning everything. They're experiencing this because there's something that they're not comfortable with, whether it's themselves, whether it's the whole puberty thing. Regardless, they may come out a year from now and say, I don't want to be a transgender individual. But it's your job to guide. And if they choose not to, then support that. If they choose to, support it. My biggest thing is that there's a trans woman that other trans individuals can talk to, because being trans is one of the most difficult things, because everyone's like, oh, I can't, pee in a public bathroom. And I wish that was the worst of my problems. Like I said, it's 2018. It's time to put this exaggerated version of a woman down to rest, because we have kings now. We have femme queens. We have male entertainers, like all of it. I support all of them, because they're making a difference no matter what. If someone of it can be a trans man, it can be a biological woman, it doesn't matter. If someone sees that and someone's inspired by that, then that king did his job. That's something I can't do, because I'm on the opposite spectrum. And that's drag is about inspiration, drag is about acceptance, drag is about art, and drag is about making a difference. And this old school way of thinking it's just about men and dresses is outdated, and it's sexist, and I'm a feminist deep down, so I'm like, no, anybody should be able to do it. The point is, there shouldn't be gatekeeping at all. It's some of it's jealousy. I mean, some of it is the fact that people can go out there and perform, and people are like, oh, they're so pretty, but it's just because they're a woman. And it's like, I mean, yes, but no. Like, you shouldn't be thinking like that. This should be supporting. This should be, okay, you look great out there. It should be, this is a sisterhood, a brotherhood, a family. But it's like there's an internal, this goes beyond drag too. It's in our own community. I touched on it with trans too. It's sad, because we all sit here and we form the shield against the rest of the world, and we're like, we're there for each other and we love each other, but then internally we're the first ones to turn on ourselves. And it stems into everything. It stems into drag, everyday life, individual people, and it's the same concept. Like, I don't know how to phrase this. The men in dress concept has been there for years. It predates. That's the same thing with, even on a grander scale, it's easier to be a homosexual individual than it is to be a trans individual, because it's still a new thing. And it's the same concept of, it's been there longer, it's been talked about more, versus still a new thing. Male entertainers, kings kind of have a bit of a jump, but even kings, and then bio queens or hyper queens or femme queens, or there's like a million names. I personally call them badass vixens, but they're new things, and so they're still fighting for acceptance, whereas others they're a mile ahead. So there shouldn't be gatekeeping at all.